Ladies and gentlemen, my name is John Ebelhart, and welcome to Woolridge Veterans Project. With me today is Henri Buzy, a World War II United States Navy veteran. Henri, welcome.
Thank you.
We're going to start where I like to start every story, and that's at your beginning, where you were born and when.
I was born in December the 4th, 1925, in beautiful New York City, at Sloan's Hospital for Women, and I grew up downtown around 43rd Street, and that's where, right across the way from Holy Cross Church, Father Duffy's old church. He was in the fighting 69th.
That's right,
So that little story there, but anyway. And then we moved uptown to 69th and West End Avenue. And there was cobblestones there. It wasn't a smooth street, and we lived in tenement houses. And we had two beautiful things near that place, Central Park and also Riverside Park.
Oh.
And it was my playground. And all the museums around the area. It was a tremendous growing up. It was really great.
It was a good time to be in New York City back
Yes,
then.
right, yeah, that was good.
Now, unfortunately, you went to school in Manhattan.
Yes.
And then things started changing, and the United States got involved in World War II. What was the atmosphere like back then?
Well, a quick story. The place was mostly Italian neighborhood, you know. And the Nazis had a little Bund meeting at one of our, it was a gas company, and they were having a meeting there. And so a couple of us went up and got paper bags, filled them with water, threw it on the meeting, and we heard pop, pop, pop. And all of a sudden, we got the heck out of there, and we told everybody about it, you know, that, and there was a big riot between the Italians and the people that belonged to the Bund.
Oh,
So
wow.
anyway, it was exciting. We grew up in a very close neighborhood,
But it sounds like things were very tense then.
yeah,
Things
it
were
was like
fairly tense.
people were worried about the war and whatnot, and it's not. And this is before we got involved at all in the war and whatnot. And we saw the famous Hindenburg fly by with the swastika on it and all that.
Well, that's right.
It's something when you see it on a remake of these television things or movie things, and
you actually saw it.
Yeah, and it was really, really something.
And that was on her voyage to Lakewood.
Yes,
Lakehurst.
right. Yeah. On her way to. I don't know if she was there before, but that she was on her way there to Lakeview.
Wow.
And then we heard about the catastrophe, and
The explosion.
it was pretty bad. And then the other thing is we went to museums. It was like we spent a lot of time there. And
Manhattan is great for museums.
Yeah, it was like, and we were on our own, you know. And if you had a nickel, you can travel any place in the city.
That was what a subway token was?
Yeah,
5
yes,
cents, yeah.
But we didn't bother with that. We snuck under the turnstile, so, and we saved our money. You know,
Yeah, statute of limitations, so you're okay.
Yeah. So, but anyway, so you could travel any place in New York City, and then Mom and Pop had to work, you know, the depression and whatnot. So we were left. My brother and I were left alone. I was the older one, and I had to be good, take care of my little brother, and we got into trouble all the time. My doing.
Well, at least you own up to it. But now you turned 17, and things are starting to happen in Europe.
Yeah,
Things are happening in the
yeah.
Pacific, and you suddenly got an interest in joining the service, and you steered more towards the Navy than the other
Yeah,
branches.
this is one of my friends who lived in the same apartment building. He was a chief bursar for the Merchant Marine Academy. Pardon me, Merchant Marine Union. And he told me, he says, join there, I'll get you join the Merchant Marine, and then I'll get you out to West Kings Point. You know, you get a nice, become an officer and all that stuff. And so too many ships were going down.
The Merchant Marines was
You
not
know,
a place
they
you
were-
wanted.
Yeah. So anyway, my father talked it over with my mother. My father was Pieton, a foot soldier, fought in the trenches World War I.
Okay.
And he says, why go into the Army and stuff like that? You're going to have the same thing. Go into something, quote, safe, the Navy, you know. So anyway, I chose the Navy because you could pick up a trade and everything like that when you go in there. When you come out, you have a trade.
Yeah.
And so that was my objective anyway. Not thinking about school or college or anything at the time. Just want to get in there.
You get a trade.
You know,
Sure.
yeah. And so
Now you had to have you were 17, and so you had to have a parent's consent
yes,
to
right.
join.
So
And
my-
there's the Navy, and you brought this term up before. The Navy has a term for those underage that needed
Yeah.
consent to join. What was the,
that was a skivvy cruise. You go in at 17, you come out at 21.
right?
And that really kicked me in the tail later on because I had to stay behind and finish out my duty, you know.
Right. It wasn't that when D-Day was declared, you went
Yeah,
home. You
yeah,
had to,
yeah. I had to stay there and whatnot, go on other. And anyway, it was pretty good. So I decided to go, and I got my general diploma,
Okay.
which kicked me in the tail again because I had to go back to high school to get my marks so
Oh,
I
okay.
I can go to college and whatnot.
Right. But now you were able to choose a trade. I figured there used to be a
Yeah,
Navy had a wish list. You could pick
Yeah,
three.
right,
and-
right. So I picked electrician, and that was
Excellent choice.
yeah, that was yes. It's,
So, but now I went to electrician space school in Great Lakes. You went to boot camp in Great Lakes.
yes.
And it's interesting you had mentioned at the firing range, the weapon you fired there.
It was a 30-06. It's a Springfield rifle.
Right.
And it had the kick of a mule, you know, just
Shell spread
and
that.
yeah, right. And then, so we had a lot of quote Hicks farmers and stuff like that. They used the firing guns.
You were a New
and-
York City boy, that's right.
Yeah, you know. So anyway, so I get a hold of, never fired a gun before. So the guy that was in charge of this thing was from New York, and he fine-tuned the trigger on this thing so you couldn't feel it coming, you know, to
Right.
jerk it, you know. So anyway, he gave me, he says, here, take this thing. And then you fire it, just look at it, at the mark, and fire it. And then I fired right bullseye.
It's like a
Shot
hair
another-
trigger you had, yeah.
Yeah, you know, so you don't feel anything. You know,
Right.
you move it. And I had, you know, I think I got 3 of them dead on, right on. and
New York
one off
City
to the-
boy becomes a marksman, right?
Yeah, right. And then, so he's yelling at all the my friends from the farm country and whatnot, and says, "Look at this kid here from New York City. For Pete's sake, you guys can't even shoot." You know. So anyway, we had a little laugh on that. But anyway, I never told the guys that went on the ship with me about this thing. You know, but I became a super marksman.
Yes, thanks to the
Yeah,
the
to
trigger.
my buddy from New York.
Now, you went through boot camp. You did, the war was going on, so you went through plane recognition. And you learned a two-letter word that everybody in the military learns fairly soon. The two-letter word is KP.
Oh, KP, yeah, that happened. We were waiting to get assigned to a school, and so they wanted us to do something, you know. So anyway, so I ended up with potatoes.
Peeling potatoes.
I made love to thousands of potatoes.
Potatoes seem to follow you, and we're going to get more into
Yeah,
potatoes later.
yeah.
But
And take the screen out. A little before that, there, I met a very close Frank Matrazzo, and he was about my size, a little taller than me, but built tremendously. He worked in the steel mills in Pittsburgh, and we went to church together and stuff like that. So we came very close, and we decided to go to New York City. He's never been to New York City, so come on, we're over there. We got room for you and all that stuff. So we get up there, and he was 25, and I was 17, going on 18,
yep.
you know. So Mom gets a hold of me and says, "Henry, this is your older brother. And Henry, you pay attention to him. Frank, you take care of him." Okay, Mom. Well,
Oh, yeah.
So
Words
I
of a
was
mom.
right away. I had somebody looking out for me, you know.
Yeah.
So,
Now, did Frank go to the A school?
yeah, he went to
He did,
yeah,
okay.
he went to electrician school from
So now, I went in Great Lakes. You went to Fargo, North Dakota for A
Fargo,
school?
North Dakota. It was called Wapaton State School of Science, and that was near Fargo and what. And the back of the school was a reservation, an Indian reservation, and whatnot. And there was no fence around it. Naturally, we went out the front gate, and if we were late, we'd go around the back through the reservation, and we'd sneak in our bunks and whatnot. And so it was pretty little, but the food was out of this world. The food was out of this world. I remember that.
Navy chow.
Yeah.
Now, you did, besides classes during the day and whatever, and the Navy tries to give some sort of entertainment, whether it be movies. They also had Golden Glove boxing.
Oh, yeah, right, yeah. So Frank was a boxer. So he says, "Come on, you're going to get in there." And I says, "Frank, I don't even know how to, I can, fight a street fight, but I can't box, you know." So he says, "Come on, I'll teach you." So he started to teach me moves and stuff like that there. So I had 2 fights. And the third fight, I got the crap beat out of me. And I
Now, the first 2 were okay. You did okay. You scored on points.
Yeah, right, yeah. I was moving up, you
Yeah.
know, and whatnot. Well, Frank, he was such a good boxer. He took the championship of the local area. So he thought he was going to go home on leave and stuff like that. But the Navy says, "No, sir.
No.
You got to stay
False
here."
promise.
Oh, anyway.
So your last fight was not a good one.
No, it was smelling salts and everything. And that was the end of my career as a boxer. But anyway, they had all different types of entertainment for us. They had dances and stuff like that. Local people would come. And so anyway, we have this dance, and I didn't know how to dance. So here I am in the showers, these guys trying to show, with skivvies on.
Yeah. We made that clear, okay.
And we had the guys are teaching me how to dance, you know, and whatnot. So,
Indeed.
and so we go up, and so I spot a girl about my age, you know, about my size. And I didn't pay too much, you know. I says, "Come on, Buzzy." To get off the pot, you know. So I had to, what I had to do, I says, "Okay, finally." So I asked this girl, "Would you like to dance?" So, to my chagrin, she said yes. I was shuddering, you know. What? Everybody gets off the floor. It's Buzzy's first dance, right? So, here I am, dancing with this nice-looking kid, you know, and whatnot. So we started to dance, and she says, "Well?" So I said, "Well?" And I didn't know how to
lead.
all I did was how to follow.
Right.
So I says, the guy just taught me. Oh, then she moved me around, and
Okay.
boy, I loved dancing ever since then. You know, it was really good.
All from the first dance.
Yeah, and then she, then you know, being a sailor, whatnot, says, "How would you like to go out on a date with me?" You know, and whatnot. So she says, "Okay, you go to a movie, you know, have ice cream and stuff like that, you know." So anyway, we go out and go out into North Dakota. They had one movie house, and then we went there, and then we had ice cream, and then she says, "Come on upstairs to my apartment." So she's, what the heck? I mean, I'll go up there. And then I said, "Geez, I had so much fun and whatnot. Would you like to do it again?" So and then she says, "You know, Henry, I'm a little older than what you think I am." So I says, "Are you 18? So she says, No, thank you." And anyway, she ended up being 25.
Oh, okay.
So here's this guy, you know.
Right.
I would have,
18-year-old.
yeah, 18-year-old, and she could have taken advantage of me and whatnot, you know,
Right.
and whatnot. So I get back to the base there, and who was there but my chaperone, Frank, standing by. He heard that I went out and had a little affair with an older woman.
Oh, boy.
He said, "Junior, I'm going to see you in the gym tomorrow. I'm going to knock your block off." You know?
Oh, boy.
So,
And he could box.
yeah, and so I said, "What's the matter? What happened to you?" You know. So I says, "I heard, you know, from the grapevine that you had a little affair there with this. I told your mother that I would take care of you." I says, "I can't believe this. I mean, you know, here I got the Navy telling me, you know, I can't do this as far as morals are concerned."
Right.
And then I got this father superior here following me all over the place. He says, "I might as well join the
Convent or something.
yeah, what the heck?" And so anyway, he gave me one shot, and I went down. And then after that, we found out the culprit who'd squealed.
Uh-huh.
And Frank knocked the hell out of him. And it was so. But anyway, but we had a lot of these incidents, and the people were so kind up there up in North Dakota. And you couldn't buy a drink or anything like that, and it was.
Did buy for you.
Yeah. I met we took off to Fargo, which is a big town. I don't know if it's the capital, I'm not sure. But anyway, we went up to Fargo, and over there we had to stay overnight. So Frank and I had a room, and then we go downstairs, have breakfast and whatnot. And we met an old lady, and she came in a covered wagon to that.
my.
Well, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was very exciting. And she wrote me a nice little poem and whatnot, and I kept that in my hat. You know that has a little
yeah.
thing on the hat. So I put I put it in there, and I kept it with me, and I put it in my memoirs, and
Nice.
it's still her handwriting and everything, and she was a very dear lady. Anytime we went up to Fargo, I always made sure I talked to her, and it was it was an adventure, just by itself of her,
Sure.
how she got there, covered wagon.
In a covered wagon, yeah.
Yeah.
So now, A school, you're an electrician, you're a Navy electrician now. You can fix things and do all sorts of things. It's time to get on board a ship.
Oh yeah.
And so they put you on, the term is, for those that don't know, the term is called plank owner on a new commissioned vessel.
Yes, right. Yes,
And you got a brand new ship.
Yeah. Geez, let me show this off to you.
Certainly.
Yeah, here it is. That's for my buddies. And we had.
And just so those, the AGC stands for, it's a communication ship.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you could tell the look of the ship, it's got
Yeah.
all antennas all over.
Yeah.
it.
Right. Yeah. It's
Looks like
was-
a Liberty ship, cargo ship, but it's
right. And it was all camouflaged
Yeah.
and whatnot and stuff like that there. And we put it into commission, and we had our first cruise up and down the Chesapeake, and
the shakedown cruise.
yeah, and then then from there we went to Annapolis, visited Annapolis and whatnot, and then I saw how the officers lived, and I says, I think I made a mistake, and then from there I was a little afraid because they had a plane fly over with overhead with a sleeve, and we'd fire at it,
It's the target practice.
Yeah. And they didn't hit it. They almost hit the plane, for Pete's sake. I said, what the heck? Holy cow.
Pilot wasn't happy.
No. But then, and I'm thinking to myself, how the heck are we going to fight a war with these jerks firing like that, Well, anyway.
It's important to note, again, that you had mentioned that the ship had a Liberty ship hull. Liberty ships were mass-produced ships back then to transport men and material. And they were not built very seaworthy. So riding that ship had to be like riding a bucking bronco if you hit any waves.
Yeah, and when we got the heavy water and whatnot, the screws would come out of it, and you'd hear thump, 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 and it'd come down again.
Then you plow in the water.
Yeah, but it wasn't too bad. It wasn't bad at all. The ship was nice. I mean, I don't know if we took off from there. Should he want me to? We took off from what the heck is it, Virginia, and Norfolk,
Right.
and went down to the canal. So Frank and I here were so excited.
So wait, now you left Norfolk, Virginia, which is a naval base, and now you're
Yeah,
heading to
right,
the Panama Canal.
Yeah.
Which has got to tell you something. You're not going as a tourist to the Panama Canal.
No.
You're going to go through it.
Yeah, but before that, as Frank and I, he speaks Italian, I speak French. We're going to the invasion of Europe. We're going to make out like kings over there,
Going to be heroes and
Yeah,
sure.
right. What we did, we made a right turn right down to the Panama Canal. Very interesting. They took us down, and pumps and things like that. They were very good. They let us get a run of them.
Yeah, the canals are interesting.
Yeah, and it was nice, very interesting. So, and then we went there, and we ended up in Balboa. And
It's going to plop you in the Pacific Ocean now.
Yeah. And there, it's we're going through this area and whatnot, very poor area, and here these young girls are selling themselves, and so immediately I thought I was going to come back, become a priest, and come back and solve this big problem that they have down here. And so anyway, we went to another part of town, and huge churches, gold leaf. I just what's going on here? Here's the, we don't see that. We were poor in New York, but we don't see
Right.
poverty and whatnot. I said, what's going on here? Anyway.
Yeah, that was welcome to the rest of the world.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, yeah. Hey, going back, if you don't mind, just a
No,
little,
certainly.
just a little tidbit. When we were in Norfolk, I went on Liberty. I went by myself. The guys going out boozing.
Yeah.
I didn't go out there. And I get on this ferry, and here's this ferry, and I'm sitting down, and this black fella comes over to me, and he said, "Sailor, you're sitting in the wrong spot." I said, "I paid my money." So he says, "This is for coloreds." I says, "What are you?" He says, "You gotta go over there where it says whites." And then, my God, I didn't realize what was going on.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. There again, we grew up in New York City, with all melange of
Yep.
people, and then you hear this happens and whatnot, and then to see it follow out throughout the world, it's mind-boggling. Well, anyway, it's just then we took off through there and went on our way over to New Guinea, Melanie Bay, New Guinea.
Okay, we're going to take a short break here. We
Okay.
got you through the Panama Canal. We're in the
Okay.
Pacific Ocean, and when we come back, we're going to go through the Pacific Ocean. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you in a few moments.
They come back to parades, high school bands, and celebrations. We welcome them with open arms as heroes. Their tours of duty are behind them. Their challenges are not. Many will spend longer coming back from the war than they spent in the war, retraining, searching for jobs, recovering from scars, some visible, some not. Find out what you can do to help at welcomebackveterans.org.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. I'm here again with Henri Buzy. Henri, we just got you through the Panama Canal. There's a big open space of water there called the Pacific Ocean. And she's known for some strange waters, but if you would, take us as you leave in the canal zone and heading across the Pacific.
Yeah, there was a lot of swells, and we got a lot of swells from the Pacific. Not rough. As we moved out, then it got calmer,
Right.
and so it was pretty neat. So the only thing is, I missed being alone in a bunk. You know what I mean? By myself in my
Right.
own bed and whatnot.
You're in berthing quarters with about 20 or 30
well,
other
yeah, 30.
that snore.
Yeah, right. So I had another buddy, Paul Reel. He was a machinist, a little older than me, but anyway, we palled around. He taught me how to play chess, and what we did, we took our mattresses and went into the gun turrets up inside, and then took our pillows, and we had air conditioning.
Okay.
And we were, nobody caught us, but after a while they got wise to us, and they kicked us out of there.
Yeah, mattresses don't belong in a gun turret, that's right.
Yeah, right, and it's not, but anyway, that was really good. We'd make sure that somebody would wake us up and whatnot, but it was good sleeping, it was cool and whatnot. But down the engine, you get the draft, the forced draft, and what we did, there's a guy sleeping alongside of us, and what we did, we put our belts around, and you got one leg going to one guy, and the air would go through like that, so at least we get air over our bodies and whatnot. But it was terrible.
Yeah, I think we're, again, the electricians' mates, engine-men, machinist mates, they're known as, what the nickname was snipes, versus a deck ape, and you spent your life in an engine room.
Yeah. most of it because I was interior communication.
Right, you were separate from electrician mate. You had
Yeah,
little,
right. I had to serve also in the engine room and whatnot. And not only that, I picked up what was going on in the the boilers,
Right.
Evaporators, anything.
Turbines, sure.
It was amazing. I picked up such a background of information, and it was very interesting. Plus, the guys were willing, to teach me anything, So that was good, and vice versa. We had machinists. We'd teach each other, and that was. So anyway, you're talking about heat, and we're back to the heat again.
Yeah.
90-degree weather.
Yes.
It was very hot, very hot.
Engine rooms are stifling, and there was no such thing as real air conditioning in those days.
But the other is that our interior communication room was away from the engine room.
Okay.
And there we had all telephones and all the communication stuff for the interior of the ship.
Right.
And then there they put me in charge of the sound-powered phones and the automatic phones. So I said, well, gee, this is tremendous.
Yeah.
I had the run of the ship. I could go any place I wanted with a fake headset and whatnot. I'm replacing that guy up in a forward hull or up on the mast and whatnot. I'm replacing his...
Sure, communications is key to it.
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. So,
And for those that don't know, a sound-powered telephone was used a lot in general quarters. Everybody had it on. It was the way of, for lack of a better word, it was a party line between the entire ship. The engine room could talk to the bridge and say, I have generator number 2 operating. So just for everyone, sound-powered telephones.
Yeah. They were unique, invented by a kid. It was really something.
And it's driven by sound, so the power can go out on a ship and you could still have communications, which is interesting. But you had pretty much had the run of the ship then, being
it was very
high seaman.
So that led me to other further adventures anyway.
Right. So you across the Pacific. There's a ceremony, and I've got to admit, there's 2 words, shellback and pollywog. I am a pollywog, and you are a...
Shellback.
Right. If you could explain the...
Well, when we cross the equator, we have a ceremony, and King Neptune comes out of the water and whatnot, and he baptizes you, and we have a big shindig coming out. You lose your hair, everything goes right up to the officer. The guy could be the admiral. If he didn't cross it, he doesn't have that piece of paper, he gets the same treatment and whatnot. So it's very nice to see the officers get theirs too at the same time. So that was exciting. It was the ceremony itself. It's
Interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's just you get whacked and they dunk you into water filled with
Slop.
diesel oil and all that, so you got to wash it off. But it's that type of thing. But it's an initiation, so you become a shellback.
Right.
And we get a big piece of paper
Right.
for it.
Yeah. You get a regular certificate. It looks like a diploma.
Yeah. But anyway, later on, you are the shellback.
That's right.
And these young kids that come on ship and whatnot, they get theirs.
They're the pollywogs, that's right. It's just another thing that Navy does to break up the routine, especially something like crossing the equator. A lot of people that study World War II, one certain region comes out as tremendous in the books of history, and that's Leyte. It's a small island, a small Gulf a bay there, and you were involved in the incidents there at Leyte Gulf.
Yes, the ship was, it was Admiral Kincaid's flagship. We had different staff come on, different Admiral Barbary and different depending upon what fleet they were tied to. In this particular case, it's going to Leyte. It was Admiral Kincaid. There's other previous ones, and the Netherlands, East Indies, and so another admiral was on.
Right.
But this was the flagship. It was very refreshing to have destroyers all around us.
Protecting you.
At least they knew how to shoot a gun and shoot
It
a
hit the
gun.
drone instead of your guys.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So anyway, but it was good to have that, and we had a lot of newspapermen on the ship with us and whatnot. Reporting the war. We had,
Communication chip, sure.
yeah, and we were tied directly to Washington, and so the newspapers throughout the states. So everything that came about Leyte, let's say, went through our ship and
Right.
was transmitted. It was very fascinating because I was down in the radio room, and it was teletyped right into the stuff from Washington would be teletyped right into our ship. I says, my
Wow.
God, we are, what? Now you do it with a little phone.
Oh, you're
But
top of the pecking order, yeah.
Well, but I couldn't believe it. I mean, this is Buck Rogers, I was really, it had a lot of electronics on the ship that, that normally, you wouldn't see it on a fighting ship or
Right.
anything like that. It just, it had, it was
It's a lot for strategic,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Now, there's one incident about the telephones with Admiral Kincaid, and I'd love for you to just let us tell us the story about that.
Well, here I am down the IC room, the interior communication room, and an alarm goes off, and it's the Admiral's telephone is on the fritz. So I says, oh my God, I better do this right away. So I grabbed an extra set, in my pouch and whatnot, and I climbed all the way up there to get into his room, and there's a Marine guard right outside, and I say, hi, we knew each other.
Hi, Bill, or whatever, yeah.
Yeah. And I go to walk into the room, and the Admiral says, what the hell do you want? So I says, I'm here to fix your phone. He says, get the hell out of here. And he got a hold of the Marine. Who the hell are you? Let this guy come in without announcing me. He's yelling at him and whatnot. And I says, and stay out here, and I want to talk to you. So anyway, he chewed us out and everything. He called us in, the two of us, and he talked to us. Do you know who I am? I says, yeah, Admiral Kincaid.
Yeah.
Do you know what I do?
Yeah.
You could have had a gun here and fired on, and killed me, and this whole thing would have went out. I said, oh my God, I said, we never thought about it, It says, and then he talked to us about what we're going to do after the war, things like that, whether we're going to sign up again,
But he made the impact on
yeah,
George's
right.
bond,
He
but-
was a very gentle man.
Yeah.
I mean, he was
He was an admiral, but
yeah, right. He got a little quick sideline. He was on the New York, and that's the battleship.
Yep.
And then he had the flag that flies from the rear of the ship. There, we had it wrapped up and given to Colonel Spellman. It's a colonel in New York.
In New
a
York
long
City,
time ago.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
And it was in a case in back of St. Patrick's.
Wow.
uh,
And it flew on the USS New York.
Yeah, but donated by Admiral Kincaid and whatnot. So a little side thing. But
That's an
he was a
honor.
great guy, and he explained everything. I mean, after we got going and the battle got going, it's the biggest naval battle there was.
Absolutely, the biggest battle in World War II, yeah.
So and he explained to us what was going on. He had charts and
strategy
everything
of
like
who's
that.
where and
Yeah,
what-
right. And
it's-
in front of the crew, you know. I mean, it was great. It was.
It's nice that he involved you, yeah. in the
Yeah, it was.
process.
You know, like you knew what was going on, and that was his doing. You know, it was just.
Now, you
it was
told
great,
a story
great
during
man.
one of them where apparently it was a kamikaze plane that came between you and a destroyer. And if it's hard to picture, but he's flying between you and the destroyer. The destroyer's trying to obviously shoot it down.
Yeah, yeah. They had. It was one of them. It was like destroyers here. We're here, and we're firing at this kamikaze coming down right at it. But he's low, and then pretty soon we're firing boom, 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 and pretty soon we're doing like that, and you're firing at each other. Well, I saw this coming, and I dove down the ladder, and you hear clink, 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 clink. Well, it was pure luck.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what I mean? You
dodged the bullet, literally.
yeah, yeah. And that, well, the guy didn't. He took off. He didn't kill himself and whatnot. But then you saw him diving right down into.
The deck.
I saw one, Kinton Bay. It was a baby flat top.
Yes, a Jeep carrier, they called it. Yep.
Yeah, gee, right into it. The guy just no thought. And you know, I says, God, I don't know if I could ever think of doing something like this. You know what I mean? But I guess it must have been the religion or something.
Desperation.
Yeah. That was exciting. A little exciting there.
Well, besides bullets flying, airplanes coming down and shooting at you, the unique thing about the Navy is you also have the sea to deal with, and you went through a typhoon.
Oh yeah, on our way back from Leyte, they had a typhoon. You know, we didn't have anything. You didn't know when a typhoon was coming up or anything like that. And then the ship would be coming out of the water and whatnot. Now you take a look at ours. Our ship was pretty big, in comparison to the tin cans.
Right.
They were about half the size, and we lost 2 tin cans. The water went right over the top.
Down the smokestack.
Yeah. They disappeared. 2 of them disappeared, and then I said, "Oh my God, geez, that's terrible." You know, like 1, 2, 3, they were gone.
I had mentioned earlier there's a book about that called Halsey's Typhoon. It's an entire book dedicated to what that typhoon did, and especially those 2 destroyers. When the water goes down the stack, they lose power. You lose power, you're dead in the water in a typhoon.
Yeah,
that's it.
right. Yeah.
You're finished.
It was
But again, you had entertainment on board, the Navy provided entertainment. And you had an interesting job when Bob Hope came to visit.
Oh yeah, that was, and our home base was in New Guinea, Hollandia,
Right.
and there, being a petty officer, they chose me as a shore patrolman, and now my size, I'm 5'4" now, or maybe even shorter now, but you could see me going over and fighting 6'4" guys after they're drinking a little bit
Right.
ashore and whatnot. So anyway, we went. So they put me in charge of taking care of the sandwiches. They put me under a tree. They said, "You watch the sandwiches." Okay, I was very happy over that. And from there, I had an advantage point to see
So you could see
Bob
the show.
Hope and then Jerry Colonna and all that.
Well,
It was nice. It brought a little bit back from home, but it was a sea of people. I mean, you couldn't believe it. Well, of all the ships and whatnot.
Right.
Yeah. It was a cute little one. That was.
Now, you had the little incident with Admiral Kincaid, but there's, and again, for those that don't know, the court of law on board a ship is the captain's mast. That's when you're brought before the captain. He's judge, jury, sentencer, the whole thing. And you had a captain's mast for...
Swimming over the side.
Right.
Yeah. were anchored, and we had a raft at the stern of the ship, and it was night, nobody was around, so we climbed down the after ladder, 3 of us, and then we dove into the water, very nice, refreshing and whatnot. And,
Sure.
and then as we're coming up, the quartermaster of the day stopped us and, oh, you're on report.
You notice that you're wet, you're sopping wet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so we had to go before the captain, and the reason why they found out about it, they thought we were Japs setting mines and whatnot on the ship. So anyway, we got in a little trouble. But then the captain was, he was a good man anyway, and he gave us 30 days restriction to the ship, which was
You're not going anywhere, that's right.
so it was good. And
Now, you had a second one for insubordination.
oh yeah, right, yeah, yeah. Being the youngest petty officer in the interior communication room, we had other guys that were older than me, and they were firemen, you know. So I said, so the chief told me, he says, swab the deck here in this, you know, in the IC room, and I says, why shouldn't I do that? These guys are doing nothing.
You've
You
got
know?
a crow, that's right.
Yeah, yeah, right, yeah. So I tell the other guy, I tell this guy, he ran our movies and whatnot, and I said, you do it. He said, go to hell. You know what I mean? So one thing led to the other, and then the chief told me, I told you to do it. And then naturally, we went head to head.
Fills out a chit.
Yeah, and went upstairs, and they gave me a captain's mass on that there, and that was bad. That was a bad one because I should have done it, you know, and
Right.
whatnot. So, but I talked around it, and I told him, I said, sir, why should you be bothered with this petty stuff? We have officers on the ship here. He should have went through the chain of command.
division
instead.
officer, right?
Yeah, right. And then they have to let him chew me out and stuff like that. And that way, he would have known what the heck I was talking about. Here, you don't give me a chance and what. So anyway, so from then on, they had to go through their division. So I did. I
The
accomplished
captain made
something.
an adjustment, listen to you,
yeah,
sure.
yeah. And Barnum, I think his name was. Yeah. So anyway, I got out of that thing with you know, very little, nothing. I didn't have any 30 days or anything
Right.
like that. It says pay attention and tell the chief.
Listen to the chief.
And then they took me out of the IC room and put me in the power grade.
Okay.
I got
Down in the
transferred.
engine room, okay.
The chief that was in charge of the power gram was from Philadelphia, and we got along very well.
Oh, yeah, another
So
Northeasterner, sure.
anyway, then I learned the other side of the business. You know what I mean? Then I started to go into power and
Generator series
yeah,
wound motors and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Now, besides the captain's mast, and I'm not sure that other people were involved in the daily supply of potatoes seemed to be dwindling a lot faster than the people were eating them on board the ship. Potatoes were starting to,
Yeah,
the
it's
stock
just-
of potatoes was going
Yeah.
down.
Yeah, we had these guys. They were farmers and whatnot, and if they electricians also. You know what I mean? So
Of course.
and then they got the ship fitters to make coils, right? Copper coils and whatnot, and they had a silex, and they'd crush the potatoes and make a mash out of it, and then strain it and whatnot and put it in there, and then it'd heat up and go through the coil, and out come the nectar of the gods. It was, they would taste it and said, "Oh, geez, perfect! It's perfect! It's just right." So, one time they were making this stuff, and we're up topside, and we're going to another invasion and whatnot, and these guys are all half crocked, and the silex broke, and it was a fire. So here these guys are drunk and they're trying to put the thing out with their feet, and so we were topside, and they opened the door, and you can see inside, you know. So right away, the other ships told them that somebody's got a door open, you know, be careful. So anyway, the guy finally put out this, and we knew that we were caught, you know. So I didn't get involved with that. So,
Yeah.
they heaved the whole thing over the side, and that was the end of our hooch making.
Yeah,
that
the
was
potato stock now suddenly came back to normal.
Yeah, normal. And then we did it. Then Andy Kolaric, he was our ship fitter. Yeah, we all about the same age, and we had all these different trades and whatnot. So he made me a nice box, and then there was a heater, electric heater that that was put in a vent.
Right.
I took the electric heater on it, put it inside this box that Andy made, and then it became a deep vat fryer. So
There go the potatoes again.
the potatoes, they started to disappear. That's all you smell was French fry. They couldn't figure out where the French fries were, you know. So anyway, that went on for quite a while, though, and it was nice. And then the fellas that, they were New Yorkers, most of them, the cooks and the bakers and whatnot. We had pizza pie there. I'm telling you, it was a war, and they were shooting the guy. We even got a plane and everything, but this is the little sidelines,
Yes.
you know.
The little things that make life bearable.
Yeah. I mean, we were there, and the guys in the IC room, you know, the communication room, they were doing their job, you know, and the planes are coming in
The
this way.
general quarters,
yeah.
sure, battle
It was,
stations.
but that's what we were there for. But then we had these little side things, you know, and those are the interesting thing that, you know, that I remember.
Yeah,
you
help
know.
carry you through. Yeah, also
Yeah.
had an interesting story about General MacArthur landing in the Philippines. He said his famous thing that I'll be back. But being a communication ship, you found out exactly how he landed.
Yeah, that was one of the fellows there on our landing craft there. He's supposed to go to the dock and whatnot, and they land MacArthur on the dock and whatnot.
Right.
And they pulled him out from there. I don't know. He was a press agent. He must have had a good press agent, because they pulled it back, put it out to the water, and down came the ramp, and MacArthur walked.
Stepped into the water, and we all see that scene of him walking up on the beach. He came back for a photo op.
Yeah. It was great. It was good. It wasn't bad, but it was. I don't know. I'm not going to talk about MacArthur.
No.
There was too many nice things.
Right.
that
He was a general. He had a lot of stripes on his shoulder.
Yeah.
Now, your time is just about finished on this ship, and you've been on for quite some time. You head back to San Diego?
Yes,
Was
right.
it?
Yeah.
And you had Liberty there.
Yeah, and we went. It's the first time I was in San Diego. It was a nice town, nice clean town and whatnot. The zoo was there, and so I had a lot of things that I could see and whatnot. And then, plus we had the USO. This is a service organization for veterans and whatnot, which is still going, incidentally. It's
They're great for people to donate. They provide soda and coffee at meetings. And
they were really out of this And so anyway, I did a lot of things. Went horseback, but never rode a horse.
New York City, of course, where you got to find a horse.
Rode
sure.
on, I rode along the surf and stuff like that. So another thing happened there and whatnot. But anyway, we had, that's a little side issue. Everybody started to disappear on me. Everybody's going home.
Skivvy Navy.
Skivvy. I had to stay until 21.
Right.
Everybody's gone. So here I had to do double work. You know, I had
Sure.
I went back to the IC room, interior communication,
Right.
took care of that. I had part of the power gang and whatnot. And I was doing that there. And when we were on another invasion up in Luzon,
Okay.
one of our Motomacs got a little drunk and he stole a Japanese torpedo boat. They're not too big. They're maybe about 15 feet
Right.
long.
It's like a small runabout.
Yeah, they're suicide boats,
Right.
you know. And he came back with this boat, and we put it on the ship, and it was a very fast boat. So the admiral says, "Geez, I'd like to have that thing as my going back and forth boat," you know. So they put the Admiral's
Admiral's
Star
gig.
and
Sure.
Admiral, you know, and stuff like that. And that thing went fast all over the place, you know, and whatnot. So I had a buddy of mine, Freddie Scarola. He was on another ship in San Diego, and I was in charge of taking care of the batteries because I had everything in it, you know.
Right.
So I says, "Oh, I'll get on this little thing, start it up, charge the battery, you know."
Right.
So I get out, charge the battery and whatnot, and had one of the guys, you know, drop me off.
The
And he had-
coxswain, right?
You
Yep.
know, so anyway, the guys blew the whistle. There was an APD repair ship.
Right.
And then here I am, I come up, and they have these boys, these for the admiral, they line up sailors because
Sure.
an admiral's coming up.
It's called manning the rail, exactly.
manning it,
And
right,
there's,
yeah.
they see this boat coming with that Admiral Star there.
Yeah. So anyway, the guys dropped me off, and I climbed the stairs and whatnot. And the officer of the day says, "Who the hell are you?" You know. So I said, "Electrician's mate. I'm here to see Freddie Scarola." He said, "What are you doing with the Admiral's kid?" "Oh, we're charging it up, sir. I mean, you know, that's all we do." And he happened to be in the area, and so anyway, I say Freddie, and we're all laughing about this whole thing, and
Took the Admiral's gig.
yeah, right. And then so the guys come back after a while, about an hour or so, and they come up and says, "Get a hold of Buzy. What do you have for Pete?" You know. And so the loudspeaker went on. Yeah, Buzy, electrician's mate. Your boat is ready to take you back. And so anyway, I took a little incident.
Exactly, sure.
And used
But yeah, because they always announce an Admiral coming on board.
Yeah.
They'll say Admiral Kincaid.
So, yeah, so it was. But the story behind it is this guy stealing this.
Sure.
Yeah, he was a machinist, a Motomac 1, a first-class Motomac.
Right.
He got busted down to nothing, you know, because he was out drunken for about 3 or 4 days and whatnot. And it's a little side story.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, you had mentioned you were a plank owner, and you were also there for her decommissioning. And there's a picture of someone else that we could see the ship in the background, and there's someone who was making a movie back then?
Oh yeah, right. This is I forgot the dates, but our ship was decommissioned. It sold for scrap and
Right.
whatnot. So I was looking at Operation Petticoat, and I saw Gary Grant as an admiral or something like that. But in the background, it had the silhouette of a ship that looked like ours. And I looked, and there's our ship.
Here's number 9.
Number 9 is right there. They took the antenna off of it and all that stuff, important gear and stuff,
Right.
you know, and whatnot. But there it is. I mean, so at least we have it in.
Yeah.
The ship is still alive, you know, and whatnot.
Yeah, with Cary Grant in the forefront.
Yeah. Anyway, then we got together quite a bit. I mean, after the war, it just we had
Reunions,
reunions
yeah.
and stuff like that, which is very important.
It
I mean,
is.
you know, it's just
Ships reunions, and you find out stuff you never knew before happened on board.
yeah. We had there was only at the last one that we went, out of about 800, 900 crewmen, we were down to about 50 left,
That's, yeah,
and only 6 of us showed up,
yeah.
and that was the end of it. You know what I mean? So I'm one of the old ones.
Yeah, that's, unfortunately, that's
Yeah. So it's nice, and I like, you know, I like the township has a nice thing going. They allow veterans to go to their school and whatnot, and talk about
right, for
their
Veterans
experience.
Day and Memorial
But,
Day.
yeah.
It's important. I mean, we have, I think we hit most of the elementary schools, most of the middle schools, and explain to them what it means to be a veteran. You know, I always
Yeah,
like to
they know.
explain, it's somebody just walking down the street. There's no sign on them that says veteran, but I don't know if it's true, but another veteran can always sense, because there's a bond that veterans have between
Yeah.
themselves. But I wanted to get back to, you went from a fairly large ship to, nicknames of them are tin cans, mainly because
Oh, yeah,
that's what they
yeah.
ride like. You went
Yeah.
on a USS Barton,
Yeah.
and she had a strange mission, but so you go from a larger ship to, what was your impression of when you first
Wow.
boarded the DD?
I couldn't get over it. I mean, it looked like a rowboat in Central Park, you know what I mean, in comparison. And there was no electricians then, you know. They disappeared, you know. So I didn't volunteer for this thing, but anyway, they said, so you're going to go on this ship, and it's going to be part of Operation Crossroads. And Operation Crossroads was an experiment on the detonation of 2 atomic bombs.
Right.
So anyway,
How thrilled were you when you heard that?
I says, you know, like I says, geez, I didn't volunteer for this one, you know what I mean? It just, so anyway, I got my bag, and it's just went over to, and there was a row of ships and destroyers all
You used to
lined
tie
up
up next to each other.
Yeah, right. And then I got to the Barton, and then I was introduced to the electrician first class. We had a chief, but we never saw him. Everything ran itself, you know.
Yeah,
like
good
we
chief
had,
then.
Yeah. So anyway, I met this guy, and he says, "You're in. You got all the interior communications, and occasionally you have to sub down the engine room, you know, switch generators."
Switchboard rods,
Yeah.
sure.
You know, so anyway, that's. So anyway, what we did, I didn't know this thing. We took our ship to San Francisco, the San Francisco area. And I don't know if you recall the torpedo tubes that we used to have on.
Yep.
They took the torpedo tubes off, and stripped it down. And what they did, they put a red stripe all around us where the torpedoes were, and they loaded up with this huge box. Oh, it must have been about 15 by about 15 by 10 or something like that, and strapped it down and whatnot. And then we were told no more liberty. You know, that's it.
Restricted on board.
Well, yeah, that's it and whatnot. Little did we know it was one of the atomic bombs.
You were carrying it.
Yeah, yeah. And they had a guy seated on top with a submachine gun, and anybody across that line gets popped.
The last thing they did.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, we stayed the heck away. Well, you could talk to him, you know, one of our buddies.
Yeah.
You talk, but don't cross that line, you know. And he was ready all the time, and just. But anyway, so we took that bomb to Kwajalein, and we dropped it off. And that bomb was going to be used for one of the two bombs that went off.
The two detonations they were
Yeah,
testing.
right.
Yeah.
And they took it off our ship, and I noticed again the beautiful island of Kwajalein, where the officers had sailboats and stuff like that. And our poor enlisted men.
You got a bathing suit and a beer. That was it.
Yeah. It was a little different. Naturally, I wrote letters to my younger friends and whatnot. If you go into the Navy, become an officer.
Life is much
Yeah,
better.
yeah.
Now you were fairly close with the detonations.
Yeah, it was 7 miles from the detonation. It was what was transmitted by radio was there's a huge gray drone boat approaching the site, and it was us. And we had a flotilla of five destroyers.
5 cans, yeah.
Yeah, right. It came down from different size and whatnot. And we got pretty close to the Nevada. And the Nevada,
She was sort of like a test ship.
she was painted red.
Right.
And that's when I dropped the bomb on that spot. It was like pretzels. The masts were pretzels. You know, like everything was destroyed.
Yeah.
They had sheep on it. Some of the sheep survived. The sheep on the other side.
On the leeward side, yeah.
Yeah, and it was. So anyway, you look at it and you say, geez. But when I saw that go off, then I thought I'd go back to Hiroshima, you know,
Right.
Nagasaki. And I think of what we did and
The
whatnot.
devastation there,
yeah.
sure.
And then, you know, you had to weigh it. I don't know how Truman did it, but he weighed it, you know, whether we get killed or they get killed,
Right.
you know. And so it was.
Now you had mentioned that at first you didn't hear the sound. You saw a flash, then a cloud, and then you mentioned the wind.
Yeah, yeah. It went boom. A guy was coming out of the hole down the engine room.
Right.
Well, you know how they right up on top
Come
side.
up on the
there.
hatch, yep.
Climb up, and he got thrown down.
Pushed back down.
Yeah, right down the ladder there. So that was something. And then we went around and did a lot of testing.
Yeah, that was unusual. You had mentioned that after that, they're having your ship go ahead towards where the explosion you're heading towards.
Yeah,
where it went off.
yeah. And then this is hot stuff, you know. We had our evaporators were still working. You know what the
Evaporators, they're taking
fresh
salt
water.
water. Yep.
converted
Converting it to fresh, yeah.
and that's what we drank. And when we got back, the yard workers wouldn't even go near it because it was contaminated.
Because, yeah, the
So,
radiation.
Yeah, so every time I kiss my wife, I glow.
You
in the
glow a
dark.
little bit. Now, the first detonation was above ground, and then they were going to try one, was it underground, the second?
Yes, right,
Detonation?
underneath to see how submarines could take it and stuff like that there. So that thing was, I couldn't believe it. It was just, it came from the bottom. We were allowed to look at it because it,
It was underwater. yeah,
Underwater.
sure.
and it blew these battleships up about 20 stories.
Wow.
When I looked at that, I said, "My, you weren't,
Gosh.
you couldn't." The force of this thing, it's
Now, these are 40, 50,000 ton ships.
yeah, right out of the water. I mean, it's like it was the only one of them came up on the right side, the New Yorker, and that's the old New York.
Away from New York. Sure. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, the old New York, that's right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
not
was
the
the
new
old
one.
New
Yeah.
York. It came down right side, and then somebody forgot to open the sea valves, you know.
Right, the seacock, right?
Yeah, right. And then well, you couldn't do it, but most of them went down, and in that lagoon, beautiful lagoon, before this
Yes,
happened.
before.
Oh, you can't believe what we do to ourselves. But anyway, so it came.
Well, they got to sink this thing, right? They
Yeah,
can't leave
yeah,
it there.
yeah. So they hook a chain or something, and they pulled it out, a New Yorker, and they tried dive bombing on it. They practice. What the heck?
Yeah.
Guys got nothing to do now. War's over, so they bombed it and bombed. It wouldn't go down. So naturally,
Watertight integrity.
yeah, so the old New Yorkers who were all cheering on, and whatnot. And then finally they got our ship and another ship, and what we did, we peppered 5-inch shells right at the
Waterline.
and then they went down, and then we had the usual thing, the sharks. We had to pick up the sharks, test the sharks and all that stuff, and see the contamination. One of the guys slept topside, and it rained, and he got burnt, and then we never saw him again. They put him on a hospital ship.
Oh, boy.
And it was one of the scientists on our ship.
Sleeping topside was not an option. I would
Yeah,
imagine,
yeah. One of the scientists, we had to give him blood all the time, and he was at Los Alamos, and he was, the guy was dying, just leukemia, I guess. But I don't know, that left me after, coming back from there, just, I don't know, just a little disappointed on what we developed.
Right. Sure.
Pretty soon the Germans would have had it. They would have had
They
it.
were right on our tails as far as.
Yeah. It was very close.
Now, after that, you got separated, and being an electrician, actually interior communication, which I think I had mentioned here earlier, is a new rate now in the Navy. Not a new rate, but the Navy changed it, so it's I seaman. It served you well. You were able to get a position working.
Yeah, I went to Western Electric, and I started to go on a production line and whatnot. I didn't have my degree. They came back and
Right.
kicked me. So I had the opportunity to go into associate engineer because I had a couple of years college already,
Yeah.
but so they let me there, and I ended up a department chief in charge of engineers and programmers.
Skivvy Navy did you get?
Yeah, but it did. It's the regimentation, stuff like that. And, you know, it was
Yeah, it was
pretty
for you.
good. And I've had a lot of more adventures since then.
Now, it's
So-
important to know, and I mentioned this, is that being in the service is just that, the word service. And a lot of us that serve continue to serve. You're a member of the VFW Post in Colonia. Bill Cisco is the
606,
commander.
yeah.
But also, you volunteer at the school in Edison for, is it cerebral palsy?
Yeah, it's
Lakeview?
yeah, Lakeview School. It's I have a little job there, quote job, where I work with the occupational therapy and physical therapists, speech therapists and stuff. That's what my main. Before I used to climb the ladders and
No,
change the light bulbs. Now they kept me grounded. Now I do different therapeutic
But you
aids.
continue to work for
Yeah,
other
yeah,
people.
yeah,
If it's
well-
not veterans helping veterans, it's you helping the less fortunate.
Yeah, that's a great thing. I mean, but the big thing I think is that the VFW and American Legion and you know all the veterans groups that we have, they try to help remember what was going on. I mean, as you can see, I had it pretty nice.
Well, you had some hardships
You
too.
know,
sure.
I know, but it's in comparison to the poor guys that, you know, got one little tidbit.
It's good to always remember,
Yeah,
so we
you
can
got-
learn from the past.
one little tidbit. Frank Matrazzo, my buddy there, the boxer, he had his buddy, he was a Marine, Stakey, came on a ship, and he had a meal on our ship with 2 or 3 other guys. They were all crying.
A hot meal.
You know, you got to remember that those guys in the trenches and things like that, they're
Sure.
guys all over the world now. And
Now that's why it's important that we remember. Henry, it's been great talking to you. I enjoyed the time we just spent together, kind of reminiscing about some of the goings on.
yes, right, yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your service to your country.
Well, thank you.
And ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you once again on Woodbridge Veterans Project.